It's under such an attack, obviously, with all the welfare changes, the universal credit and everything that's happening. So it's not just the NHS, it's the whole of the welfare state. We've got to really bring everything into that. So I'm going to just start with this one. It's UK 2018. As they're living in their mansions, giving out their sanctions, the poor can't even get their head down and relax because they're too busy worried about the bedroom tax or about laying something to eat on their tables, while we're paying to heat their stables, build their duck moats, and whatever else, God knows. With so many people working 2 or 3 jobs with no thanks, still having to rely on handouts and food banks, or digging their graves deeper into debt, selling their futures to keep a roof over their head. As all our services are sold off and privatised, the NHS and welfare state for which our grandparents gave their lives. The workers' rights and trade union movement, the trade union movement won, all eroded and undone, all for their profit and greed. Never mind the human need, the people's need. Never mind the breakdown of the social fabric or all the suffering and the tales of so tragic. As long as they make their profit, no need to worry about the losses. And all of this because of a bunch of greedy bankers, nothing but a bunch of seedy. Gambling with other people's money, hoarding any winnings to live in milk and honey. But when they lost, it's us who've paid the cost with our services and our jobs, whilst they keep raking in the cash and we're all breaking under their lash. But at least we've got something they'll never know the value of or understand. Love and compassion for our fellow woman and man. Solidarity, camaraderie, unity, and a real sense of community. It is they who practice the politics of envy, they who are jealous of the love of which we have a plenty. It's really hard to think of what's going on in the world right now. It just seems everything's kind of gone crazy with Trump and the movement of the far right all over the world, really. I mean, I'm so glad there's obviously the left fighting back as well. We've got the extremes going on. And I think so much of it we have to take back. I mean, this might seem out of context, but for me, so much of what's happening in the world right now with the refugees and Islamophobia, everything, it goes back to this for me. And I wrote this when Blair gave his response to the report in which he apologised, but he said he hadn't lied. So anyway, so it's called Blush. Bush and Blair blush, hang your heads in shame. You took our world to war, but not in our name. Blair, were you hell-bent on your Christian crusade, believing you had a goddamn right to invade? Prepared whatever to support Bush in his war for oil, regardless of and the US in the fight for the war spoils. Prepared to support whatever for your ego and pride, regardless of breeding worldwide hatred and religious divide. Millions marched, begged you to wait for a United Nations resolution, but you were too caught up in your machinations and collusion. Bush and Blair blush. Blush for your lies of weapons of mass destruction, leading to the war fueling today's terrorist eruptions. Bush and Blair blush for your rush to war, blush for your shock and awe, blush for the intelligence you sexed up and embellished, blush for the destruction you relished. When you saw the burning skies, did you also hear the mother and baby's cries? The burning skies lit up like the 4th of July on the telly. Bush and Blair blush for that, Robin Cook and David Kelly. Blush for the millions of deaths of civilians and soldiers. Their lives should weigh heavily on your shoulders. You took the soldiers' lives and their heroism, sending them ill-equipped to your fake war on terrorism. Blush for the Middle East devastated, destroyed and destabilised by the war built on your lies. Blush to see the hell you have let loose when you distorted the truth, selling your lies as proof. Now we live with the consequence for which there can be no recompense or sense. Millions of deaths and displaced refugees, innocent victims fleeing war, drowning in the seas, or facing rejection and persecution with no solution. And yet you believe you don't deserve prosecution. You have the audacity to stand there and apologise, accept responsibility, but still deny your lies. You have to keep up your self-deception and delusion to deny your own blame and collusion. You say the world is a better place without Saddam in it. We all know that's another lie, God damn it. Bush and Blair blush, hang your heads in shame. You took our world to war, but not in our name. This is my last one. And again, I wrote it a while ago, but it's about what's going on. And obviously, things have moved on, but I think it still has the same meanings, and things are probably worse now than they were then. Anyway, it's called Living in the Age of Austerity. Living in the age of austerity, witnessing them murder our chance of prosperity. When the poor man's hopes and dreams are scarcity, and the rich man's love and charity's a rarity. When they keep screwing the screw tighter till the poor are losing the fight to keep on keeping on, and the sick are weeping from the attacks and the cuts. No ifs and no buts, they are dying in their thousands, and I don't know how can the rich sleep while the poor weep more and more on the streets as the media seeps their lies getting spun as society's fabric's undone. And they drink champagne as the poor campaign for a small piece of the pie, our part of the sky. A chance to dream, a chance to believe in something more, but the media are deceiving while the poor are grieving and the rich just keep on receiving. Piling up their mountains of money, thinking it's all so funny, blaming it on the sick, the poor and immigration, whilst it's their greed and their tax evasion. Their greed is the root of all abominations, and that's why they're bombing other nations for money, oil and power, killing and displacing millions whilst they earn billions, selling their weapons to all sides of the conflicts. Respectable businessmen, they should all be convicts, causing millions of deaths and refugees, ordinary people fleeing the disease, devastation and starvation to be met with enraged populations. More ordinary people who swallowed their media lies, fed to them by their corporations that demonise with their racist and bigoted cries. It's the sick, the unemployed, the immigrant, the working poor. Anyone so long as it doesn't fall at the rich man's door. Anything so long as it serves the rich to divide and rule. They don't care how cruel about the pain and suffering they're inflicting on the innocent victims. It is they who are restricting our aspirations. They who are performing the castrations, destroying the lives of our future generations. Living in the age of austerity, witnessing them murder our posterity.